We define ourselves through our history, culture, and food, but we so rarely think to stop and ask, how does it all work? Revealed examines the hows and whys while pulling the curtain back on the things you never thought to ask. On this episode, the Statue of Liberty, uncovering its history, engineering marvels, and its place as an enduring symbol of freedom.
So the Statue of Liberty to me means freedom.
It's like a teaser of the American dream.
It's definitely a statement of New York itself.
I understand what the Statue of Liberty means, the symbolism, freedom, 7 points on her crown, the tablet, the torch, it all means a lot. Even though she was built and delivered in 1886, so much is still relevant today.
It's a symbol that's welcomed millions to American shores. But the journey to bring Lady Liberty to life was fraught with engineering challenges, political maneuvering, and relentless fundraising efforts.
One man who had a dream to make a colossal sculpture, doing it on this scale, that was a new thing.
Her significance has persisted, and her symbolism has changed with the times.
I feel like for immigrants, it definitely represents a new start.
And she continues to draw millions to her feet each year.
It just represents for sure like you made it.
You know, it's America. That's what America is, it's the Statue of Liberty.
So the Statue of Liberty has two names. The Statue of Liberty, as we call her informally perhaps, but she also has a formal title, which is La Liberté éclairant le monde, Liberty enlightening the world. This is her formal artistic title. If she was a museum piece with a little plaque next to her, that's what it would say.
The statue weighs a staggering 225 tons with a 35-foot waistline. She stands just over 305 feet tall in the New York Harbor. Her crown features 7 rays, each representing a continent, and her origins are of a shared dream between two nations.
So those two sister republics are the United States and France. One of the men who's principally involved from the French side is a guy named Edouard de la Boulaye. He's a lawyer by trade, but he's really a historian, and he loves the United States.
He was an abolitionist who believed that everyone was born with an inalienable right to freedom. His idea for the statue as a gift was to commemorate the upcoming centennial of U.S. independence and celebrate the end of the Civil War, which he saw as a reaffirmation of the ideals of freedom in the U.S. He also hoped that those ideals of freedom would inspire his fellow citizens in France.
At the time that this monument is coming about, France is not a republic. France is under the rule of Napoleon III. De la Boulaye. He's an intellectual minority of people who believe that perhaps Napoleon III should not be in charge of everything. So politically, the environment in France, I wouldn't say it was overly oppressive, but it certainly was not friendly to the ideals that the Statue of Liberty would represent.
De la Boulaye spent 10 years coming up with a plan for the statue, and in 1871 it began to take shape with one man leading the charge.
One man, Auguste Bartholdi, he goes to Egypt with an idea for a colossal sculpture, which is going to be a woman holding a light standing at the entrance to the Suez Canal. And though that project was not accepted by Egypt, the roots of his idea for a colossal sculpture, a sort of classical figure perhaps holding a light, we know he had that idea before it becomes the Statue of Liberty. And because we know that classical sculpture is very appealing, we'll make her be a Roman goddess. She is the Roman goddess Libertas, but personified for the Americans. So she's a new liberty for America. Colossal sculpture was not a new thing, but doing it on this scale and doing it with hammered copper sheets, that was a new thing. Bartholdi and La Boulaye set up a Franco-American union, committees on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean that are going to raise money. The agreement is that the Americans are going to raise money for a pedestal, and the French are going to raise the money for the copper, for the iron, and to put her up initially outside of Paris. Fundraising begins slowly. It seemed difficult to convince people of the project's value. Many in France wondered why they were being asked to donate. Most all of the copper is actually donated for free by a man who is hoping that they will then tell the French government what a nice thing he did. So it's always a bit of a political game and a fundraising game to try to get the money together. They have the money together in France. They have the copper now, and they're able to start work in around 1879.
The statue alone would cost $250,000, which is nearly $5 million today. It was funded entirely by the people. No government funds were ever used. America's centennial would come and go, but the project would continue. However, fundraising in America was struggling, so Bartholdi decided on a plan in the hope of drumming up some big donations.
So he makes the hand and the torch and flame, and he ships it to the United States for an exhibition of his work that's part of a larger exposition.
It was exhibited at the Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia in 1876, where for 50 cents people could climb the ladder to the torch's balcony.
It proves to be so popular that he's successful in moving it to New York City, where it's displayed in Madison Square Park until in 1882 it has to go home to join the rest of the statue, which is being built in France.
In the United States, fundraising for the pedestal was driven by newspaper mogul Joseph Pulitzer's campaign. Anyone who contributed had his or her name published on the front page of his newspaper.
His campaign was really one of shame. It was saying, hey, we're being given a gift and we didn't appropriate any money for it and we don't have the funds for it. Come on, we can do better than this.
Meanwhile, the statue's framework was being constructed in the outskirts of Paris.
Soon, citizens in Paris see this large, towering copper statue starting to come up past the level of their houses.
People could see the artistry up close, and today visitors can still do this on a tour of Liberty Island.
My name is Kathleen Chorai. I'm a management specialist here at the Statue of Liberty National Monument in Ellis Island. So right now we are on Liberty Island, so we're right behind the statue. Early morning, so we're the only people here.
Visitors will make the strenuous climb up 162 winding stairs to reach the crown from the top of the pedestal.
So we're currently in the crown of the Statue of Liberty, so we're in just the top third of her head. The platform here allows us to look out the 25 windows of the crown.
Each of the 25 windows represent the 25 gemstones found on Earth.
This is a pretty special spot. You get to be sort of right against the copper, which is above us, the wavy lines here. And that's the statue's hair. You can feel that as well as the rivets that hold all of the copper panels together. Pretty unique to be able to be so close to both the art and the engineering that supports the statue.
So there's a technological problem right away, which is that Bartholdi wanted to build something gigantic and nobody was quite sure how to build it and make it work structurally. You're going to hammer that copper out into wooden molds that will give it its shape, that will be able to show things like the folds in the Statue of Liberty's drapes. But the problem is it's very thin, so it's not going to stand up on its own. So this is the beginning of curtain wall construction, basically. We're going to drape the Statue of Liberty's copper on an iron skeleton. And this iron skeleton, this superstructure or secondary structure that's inside the Statue of Liberty, that's honestly the largest technical achievement of the project in my mind.
This solution came from Alexander Gustav Eiffel. A few years later, he began his most famous project, the Eiffel Tower.
So when you look at the statue, you could think that it's a solid copper statue, but it's actually remarkably thin.
We like to say that most of the Statue of Liberty is about the thickness of 2 pennies.
The statue is covered with 300 sheets of hammered copper supported by the 250,000-pound iron skeleton. By 1884, the statue was complete in Paris and ready for her journey to the United States. The statue frame and skin were packed into 214 crates for their journey across the Atlantic, arriving on June 19, 1885. But the pedestal was still not complete.
It remains in those boxes, it remains in those crates. Soon some parts of her body are strewn around the island, and people who come to visit were certainly fascinated and took some pictures with the face, with the feet. But the project can't go anywhere until the pedestal is complete.
Despite fierce debates and a lack of federal funding, relentless fundraising led by Joseph Pulitzer finally secured more than $100,000 in funds needed to complete the pedestal. Then on October 28, 1886, in front of thousands of spectators, the Statue of Liberty was officially dedicated, marking the end of a long journey and the beginning of a new era. Though not everyone thought a statue symbolizing enlightenment, liberty, and freedom was appropriate.
There's a group of suffragists. These are women who want the right to vote, and they had asked to have a place in the naval procession, the ships that were going to be out in the harbor while the statue is being dedicated. And they were denied a place, so they charter their own boat anyway. They had a bullhorn, and they were saying, isn't it a bit ironic that you are dedicating a statue to liberty when many of us in this country are not enfranchised with the right to vote. So the Statue of Liberty, dedicated in October of 1886, is an event that really embodies the paradox of American democracy, where we said everybody is free and all people are created equal, but we had a government that did not necessarily demonstrate that equality for everyone. It is a day where we are talking about friendship between the United States and France and the ideals of liberty.
Taking a trip to the Statue of Liberty is a rite of passage for some, and a pilgrimage for others. But the island would not become the tourist spot it is today until 1933, when Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered it to become a national park. Today, the statue attracts nearly 4 million visitors each year.
This is my first time at the Statue of Liberty.
You can opt for the no-cost view from the Staten Island Ferry,
I've seen it from the Staten Island Ferry, and that's as close as I've gotten.
or pay around $24 and take a trip to the island to see her up close.
So this is the top of the pedestal. This is about the halfway point. We're right below the green part of the statue. So every day this ticket is limited to about 3,000 people per day. Before 9/11 in 2001, you would have joined a line that formed on the island. After 9/11, the crown was closed until 2009. So there was a pretty long period of time that it was closed. There were some safety upgrades that were made, as well as a reservation system that went into place. So now it does limit the crown capacity to between 400 and 500 per day. As a frontline ranger here on Liberty Island, you typically do this once a day. So in the 10 years that I've been working here, over 1,000 times, I would say. It never gets boring. This is one of our favorite spots, just because this is a pretty unique space to call your office for a couple hours every day.
Yeah, we're underway. First time today. The first trip with passengers, 950. This boat will make 5 different round trips today. 3 boat fleet out of New York, 2 boat fleet out of New Jersey, 5 boats daily, statue service, Ellis Island. First one of the day starts at 9, and the last one goes out at 3:30, and then we bring people back till 5 p.m. My name is Matt Gill. I'm the port captain here at Statue Cruises. I've worked here since 1998. It's kind of like the summer job. I've never left. I worked here in high school and college seasonally, summers. I love watching people admire the statue, and I've seen so many Titanic poses. I've seen iPads go over the side. There is times where you forget it's even there. We're so fixated on the vessel traffic and getting there. But once you are here and you do get to take it in, it's really remarkable to see the people having a great experience. That's what we like to do here. The boat will not stop here on the way back. If you'd like to see the Statue of Liberty, please get off here now. Watch your step carefully, everyone, and enjoy your visit. Welcome to Liberty Island, Statue of Liberty.
Each day, people make their way to both the Statue of Liberty and neighboring Ellis Island, places that embody the essence of America's spirit and history.
Being able to work here, it's a privilege. It's an honor to do so. Some people wait their whole lives to see the Statue of Liberty. Lucky enough to trace my ancestry through Ellis Island. You know, I'm half Irish and half Italian. Both sides of my family came through this building. It is a great way to be a constant reminder of staying grounded, remember where your humble beginnings, and always keep moving forward, right? That's what they did.
Between 1900 and 1915, more than 15 million immigrants arrived in the United States, matching the total number that had arrived in the previous 40 years combined, most of them passing through the New York Harbor and seeing this view. Today, the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island are part of the National Park Service, offering visitors a profound glimpse into America's history.
This is a great one to visit. Some would even say that this is one of the crown jewels. I'm not biased though, working here.
Over the years, the Statue of Liberty has undergone several transformations, most notably in color.
So for the centennial restoration of the Statue of Liberty in the 1980s, we made a replica of the statue's face. One of the coolest things is that you can see the copper color of what the copper might have looked like when the Statue of Liberty was first put up in New York Harbor.
Originally, the statue was a shiny copper hue. much like a new penny, but over time the elements caused it to develop the iconic green patina we see today.
At one point, when she was turning green, everybody was a little confused. Why is the statue turning green? There were many who knew that copper would turn green, but Bartholdi was being asked, hey, what should we do about that? And he said, you know, you could gild her in gold. Of course, that did not happen, but in a bit of an homage to Bartholdi, the torch that you see today is covered in gold leaf. So it is gilded of a kind, and the lights that shine off of it, including the sun during the day, make for a very radiant torch in a way that the original torch never seemed to accomplish.
The torch is above us to the right, about another 2 stories or so. It's a 40-foot ladder to access the top there. That's been closed to the general public for over 100 years.
A modern light system was installed in 1931, featuring 96 1,000-watt incandescent lamps. In the 1980s, the Statue of Liberty underwent a major restoration in preparation for its centennial celebration. This involved replacing the original torch, which was placed on display in the statue's museum on the island.
One of the problems we had with the statue and its restoration was actually related to the shoulder. The statue's arm was actually attached in a way that it wasn't secure to the rest of the iron structure. Of all the places of the statue that perhaps would scare you the most to be, it probably would have been in the torch when it was swinging those 12 inches off of its axis.
The reason you can't go to the torch dates back to 1916, when a suspicious explosion of munitions stored at nearby Black Tom Island, orchestrated by German saboteurs, killed 7 people and wounded hundreds. The German agents were determined to prevent American munitions from reaching their English enemy during World War I. The explosion sent shrapnel flying to Liberty Island that hit parts of the statue, causing millions of dollars in damage and causing the torch to be closed off to the public as a security precaution.
Most people misremember a trip to the torch when it was actually a trip to the crown of the Statue of Liberty. This isn't perhaps an understandable trick of memory, but unless you remember climbing a 40-foot ladder and standing on an open-air balcony that before the restoration the arm was swinging about 12 inches off its axis, it is probably the crown of the Statue of Liberty that you visited.
For more than 100 years, the Statue of Liberty has stood as a beacon of hope and freedom.
Emma Lazarus, she writes a poem called The New Colossus, and it frames the Statue of Liberty as somebody who is welcoming immigrants, welcoming refugees who are coming into New York City.
The bronze plaque was added to the pedestal in 1903. It bears the words, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free."
It means a lot to us New Yorkers. It's just freedom, peace. That's what makes New York, New York itself.
Freedom and enlightening the world on something different and a new change that's coming in.
I think it just means New York. It's like a symbol of New York. I think of it. It's on all our postcards.
Something that a lot of our visitors maybe don't notice right away is that the Statue of Liberty is walking forward. The Statue of Liberty is actually walking out of chains and shackles that are at her feet. One leg is straight and the other one is bent slightly. She is a dynamic figure who is not at rest, but in how Bartholdi designed her with that upraised right foot, she is carrying the light of liberty forward. And that to me is this sort of aspirational promise of what the Statue of Liberty is supposed to be.
Her symbolism has evolved through history, designed by the French as a gift to celebrate democracy and reflect the changing values and aspirations of society.
When I'm not at work and you say where you work, people know exactly where you're talking about. They know what the statue represents. It's a little bit different to everyone. You know, the fact that you could be in a taxi in India and you say that you work at the Statue of Liberty, people know exactly where that is.
It starts off as a symbol just of French and American friendship and a gift for the United States centennial, but it becomes a universal symbol for liberty, not just to Americans, but to people around the world.
The statue is always going to be that beacon. She's always right there. Anytime you need a reminder, she's always got her light on for us.
And then it is other countries in the world who are looking to the United States for guidance and seeing the Statue of Liberty as an inspirational symbol. she is also a contradiction for those who believe that that liberty has not been afforded to them. This is the moment when James Baldwin says that to Black Americans, the Statue of Liberty has been nothing but a bitter joke. It is both a beautiful universal symbol of liberty and an embodiment of the American paradox. And to me, that shifting symbolism is why it's so interesting to interpret the Statue of Liberty today, and why it's so fascinating to visit the Statue of Liberty, to see what you think when you come here to Liberty Island and you stand in front of this colossal work.